On question number 4, we've got this problem where a tree breaks 6 feet above the ground, and if the top of the tree rests 20 feet from the base, so here's 20 feet, I want to know how tall the tree was. So I want to find the hypotenuse. We're going to go c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So in other words, c squared equals 6 squared plus 20 squared. 20 squared is 400, so c squared is 436. I'll take the square root of that. So the square root of 436 is 20.8. 8, we'll say. Now to find that total length, we're going to add 6 on because I want to know what the tree was before. So 26.88 feet. And it'd be fine to say 27 feet, wouldn't it? That'd be probably a little bit closer. Now, on questions 5 and 6, BC is along the side, and that's 10. So I want to compare c squared with a squared plus b squared. In other words, I want to rewrite this so c comes first. So it's 100 is less than ab squared plus ac squared. And since it's less than, that means it's acute. Some of you didn't flip that around. On question number 6, we know 100, let's write 100 first again, is greater than ab squared plus ac squared. Greater than means it's obtuse. Some of you got those just backwards. On question 7, when I say exact values, I don't want a decimal. I do not want you to use SOHCAHTOA on this problem. I want you to notice that, hey, we have a 30-degree angle here. So square root of 15 is my short side then, isn't it? Because it's across from a 30-degree angle. X is my hypotenuse. So I just take 2 times my short side. So that'll be 2 square root of 15, done. Now, y is opposite the 60-degree angle. So that's the square root of 3 times your short side. In other words, y is the square root of 3 times the square root of 15. We want to simplify that. Well, 15 is the square root of 3 times the square root of 5. So the square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is 3. So we get 3 square root 5. On question number 8, we have a square that has a diagonal that's 10 inches long. I want to know the length of each side of the square, and I want to write my answer in simplest radical form. Once again, no SOHCAHTOA, because I want the exact answer. Well, it's a square, so I know these two sides are the same, which makes it a 45-45 right triangle. In other words, we got x, and this side is x times the square root of 2. In other words, x square root of 2 equals 10. Divide by the square root of 2. Can't have square root in the denominator. Many of you did this part right, but then didn't finish it. We get 10 square roots of 2 over 2. I want to simplify it. 5 square roots of 2 inches, but since the exact answer, we'll just go with that. Okay, and question 9. 2 radio towers are positioned 8 miles apart at points A and B. So I know this is 8 miles. Point D is located exactly 4 miles from point A. The third tower will be placed at point C so that all 3 towers are equidistant. In other words, oh, look at that. I got an equilateral triangle. So this is my 60-degree angle. My short leg is 4. And what should the distance from the third tower to point D be? Well, that'll be multiplied by the square root of 3. 4 square roots of 3 is the exact answer. But they don't want the exact answer here. They want you round it to the nearest tenth of a mile. So 4 times the square root of 3 gives us 6.9 miles. Now on question number 10, I think I went 2 pages here? That's okay. On question number 10, I want to know which trig ratio will have a value of 20 over 29. So if I look at angle A, 20 is adjacent to angle A. 29 is my hypotenuse no matter how I do it. So the cosine of angle A will be 20 over 29. If I look at angle B, 20 is opposite, so it will be the opposite over the hypotenuse or the sine of angle B. We're not going to use tangent because we don't use 21 in our problem. Question 11. Once again, I want the exact answer. I don't want a decimal. And I notice we got a 60-degree angle here. So let's draw that out. We've got a 30, 60, 90 triangle, so that's 1, 2, square root of 3. So the tangent of 60 degrees is the opposite, which is the square root of 3, over the adjacent, which is 1, or square root of 3. I don't want 1.7. I don't want you using your calculator on this problem. Now, question 12, now we can use our calculator. So I want to find the measure of angle D to the nearest degree. Well, in relation to angle D, 4 is my adjacent. 6 is my hypotenuse. So we're going to go through that same thing again. Adjacent hypotenuse, so I know the cosine of angle D is going to be 4 over 6. Or the measure of angle D will be the inverse cosine. Now you can write 4 over 6, but I think it's easier to just reduce that to 2 over 3. At this point, you don't have a choice. You got to use your calculator. So then, let me close up stuff here. So we're going to say the inverse cosine of 2 over 3. Should use a calculator for this. So you get 48.2 degrees. And it says to the nearest degree. So the measure of angle D is 48 degrees.